we are going to host the show on YouTube. So he's trying to
Yes.
set up the YouTube live stream, and then we will start the panel.
Okay. I think it is going to the right one now. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it went to the right one. But anyway, we are recording. So welcome to the first event of World Vegan Vision in 2021. And many people would have resolved as on New Year Eve that they want to reduce their weight with a diet. And many of you have experienced vegan diet successfully. So we organized this event. And let us help people accomplish their resolution of reducing their weight. And the way we are doing it is a sort of like a panel discussion. Kalindi Bakshi will moderate the panel. The way we will do it is we will pose a question and ask each participant to answer the question from their experience. And that, we'll limit the responses to about 1 or 2 minutes. And that way we'll be able to do the whole event in about an hour because we have about 9 or 10 questions. So with all that, thank you all for joining, and I'll hand it over to Kalindi. Thank you. Go ahead, Kalindi.
Thank you very much, Avinash, for the introduction and introducing this event. Welcome, everyone. Wishing you all a very happy and healthy new year. Again, I'm Kalindi, founder of Plantology, welcoming you on World Vegan Vision's very first event of 2021. And nothing couldn't be better than a New Year's resolution, for a lot of us to go on get a healthy kickstart to this year. And so this is a virtual panel on weight loss and vegan, specifically with a vegan diet. And of course, this is perhaps the best time of the year to kickstart a healthy diet and especially a vegan diet. So today we are going to hear from our wonderful panelists on how they started this journey on weight loss. Could be weight loss, but mainly the weight loss is via vegan diet, and how this journey itself helped them transform, in whatever their goals were in health and fitness. I would like to thank you all for joining us today and taking your time in sharing your wonderful journey and experiences. And I'm so very sure that this will inspire a lot of others who are looking to embark on this path. So this is our first kind of a panel discussion. So, what we're going to do is there will be 10 questions. And I will have each of you answer those individually, go to each of you, and each of you answer individually to your own personal experience on a vegan diet, okay? And at the end, we may have some time left for discussion or, any questions that the audience may have. So let's, first of all, we're going to start with an introduction. So each of you just introduce yourself briefly, name, if you feel comfortable, where you are from, your age, and, your profession, whatever, very brief introduction. And after that, I will ask each of you individually questions regarding your experience on a vegan diet and weight loss, and we'll carry it on. So let me first start with Vishal. Vishal, can you please briefly introduce yourself, your profession, your whatever you feel like, just give us an introduction so people know where you're coming from.
Sure. So first of all, Happy New Year, everybody. My name is Vishal Daftuar. I'm 45 years old, and I went vegan in early March just before the lockdown happened in New Jersey, where I live. And I'm a banker. I work with, and in fact, I work with World Vegan Vision they are a client of mine, and yeah, I've been vegan since the beginning of March.
Okay, Carole, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Carole Klawansky. I live in Columbia, Maryland. I'm 73 years old. I'm retired. I spent almost all of my career in healthcare, in mid-level sales and management. And the last 20 years before I retired, I worked with long-term care insurance. I've been on this journey for a long time and went through steps of eliminating different things along the way. For me, it became a very serious endeavor the end of 2012, and then a total recommitment almost 4 years ago.
Okay, thank you, Carole. And then we will go in detail about how you achieved your goals. David, can you please introduce yourself? David, we cannot hear you.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now it's good.
Perfect. I guess my headphones are not working. Sorry about that. But yeah, just to start from the beginning, my name is David. I'm 32 years old. I live in Mount Arlington, New Jersey. My profession is a anti-money laundering financial crimes professional for a French bank in Jersey City. And I initially started the plant-based diet about 2 years ago after coming back from my honeymoon from Greece. And the reason for it was mainly I just wanted to try something different. I started doing some research and reading, and I had dabbled in some other diets. And while they all worked, I think, very well in the short term, in the long run, I always came into certain issues with blood work and weight gain and so forth. So I just wanted to try something different and just became very interested in the plant-based lifestyle.
Thank you, David, for the introduction. And we will go more and we will hear from you more in detail about your journey. Preeti Shah, would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Preeti Shah from Livingston, New Jersey. And my goal is I'm not obese. I'm 62-year-old, but I want to learn new things. And I'm trying to be vegan. I'm not 100% vegan. I drink my tea in the morning.
Right.
So that's what it is. I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm like 5'6", 5'7", and I'm 138 pounds. So I don't think I worked with cardiologists for last 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be healthy, not losing weight. That's not my goal.
Okay. Thank you very much, Preeti, for joining us. And hopefully,
Actually, can I interrupt?
Yes.
Preeti ji, let me ask you a question. Have you actually achieved the weight loss of 10 pounds or more so far?
I don't need to. I'm 5'7" and I'm 138 pounds. I walk 5 miles every day.
Okay,
I do a lot of exercise. So I don't feel I should lose any more weight.
Okay.
If I lose 5 pounds, it's great. But otherwise, I'm pretty, touch wood, I'm pretty healthy.
Okay, let me tell you that the panel we have chosen is based on the fact that they have lost more than 10 pounds of weight already on a vegan diet, and we want to learn from their experience. So
yes,
I don't believe that
definitely.
you will qualify for that. And if you don't mind, I would like you to be a spectator instead of a
sure, absolutely.
So if you don't mind, you can watch this on YouTube, and because we whatever questions we will ask you, you will not have a appropriate answer that the audience can learn from.
I just would like to hear stories.
So I'm sorry, but we'll have to ask you to drop off from this.
Okay.
Thank you.
And just join via our YouTube link.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Carole.
Thank you. No problem. And our last but not the least, Neetu Jindal, our member of World Vegan Vision and a vegan of 23 years. Let's hear from her. What was her experience, and a brief introduction. Neetu, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Kalindi. Hi, everyone. I've been vegan for 23 years, like you said. It's been a great journey. It's been a lot of ups and downs considering the way the world's been changing, but I've tried something really new. After Thanksgiving, I went raw vegan and experienced weight loss almost immediately. And I want to talk about that more in detail, Kalindi, with you as we go along. But yeah, that was my newest thing, and it was a challenge. I thought I would give a try, and it worked wonders for me mentally, physically, in every way.
Thank you, Neetu, for joining. And I am waiting to hear about your this new experience. Being a vegan, you still went a step further, and I think everyone would love to hear what you have to say. Right. So, without further ado, I am going to start with the questions. I will call out each of the panelists, and if you can briefly answer, let's keep it for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. And there are 10 questions, so we will get into specifics. So some of them are general, and then we will get into much more specific details. Okay, so I'm going to share the questions. So let me start by the PowerPoint presentation. So our very first question is, what was your main reason for adopting specifically a vegan diet for weight loss? I mean, there are so many diets, keto, paleo, and 31-day challenge, but why did you go for specifically a vegan diet? So if I can start with Vishal, that would be great.
Yeah, actually, for me, it wasn't about the weight loss. I actually had been attending some World Vegan Vision events in, I would say, late 2019. And in fact, one specific event comes to mind was they did a vegan Thanksgiving event in the Consulate of India building in New York. And there were some very impassioned presentations there. And what actually resonated with me was the environmental aspect of it, the environmental aspect of what the dairy industry does and what the meat industry does to the environment. That made a big impression on me. And I came home that night talking to my wife, saying, we need to do something different, and it still took. By the way, I grew up as an omnivore. Like I ate at home. I grew up eating everything. And so for me, it was a big change. And it actually took me till March, actually, even though I attended that event in November, December, I think it was November. It took me 4 months or so to kind of get my mind right to do it. And that's what actually made me do it. So it actually wasn't about weight loss for me.
Wow, that's amazing. Generally people go on these diets, one of the main motivation is any health condition or weight loss, but your reason was very different. It was more to do with the global health, I would say. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Vishal. And now, David, can you please tell us what was your main reason for adopting a vegan diet?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it was definitely for weight loss. I remember several years ago going on vacation, weighing myself before vacation, and then coming back and literally seeing the scale say I was 10 pounds heavier. And the scale that I had also had the body fat percentage too. So I was also very cognizant of that too, making sure that I can kind of, track that as well, because, 10 pounds could be a lot of water weight. But essentially I grew up on like Vishal said, an omnivore diet. My father is and was a meat butcher. So I grew up around eating a lot of red meat, a lot of eggs. And dabbling in other diets, I kind of moved away a little bit already from red meat and just ate more, I guess you can say, poultry like chicken, turkey, occasional seafood, occasional red meat. But like I said before too, I felt like there was a lot of short-term weight loss. I would experience, maybe for 3-4 months, a drastic weight loss, and then as an omnivore, you're tempted to always focus a lot on protein. So for me, it wasn't very uncommon for me to go to a Brazilian steakhouse, for example, and just gorge on meat and stuff like that, or just in general when going out. So in general, what this diet really helped me focus a lot on foods that, whether you're an omnivore or if you're plant-based or you're vegetarian, it kind of really helps you own in on foods that everyone should be eating, whether or not you're plant-based or I guess a meat eater. So as I did my research, I just found, a lot of interesting information, a lot of interesting endurance athletes. At the time, I was also training for the New York City Marathon, and I wanted an edge up on, not an edge up on the competition, obviously, because you're only competing with yourself, but I wanted to make sure that I was feeling my body the right way.
Great. Thank you, David. And Carole, if you can tell us about something about what were your reasons for getting on a vegan diet? Was it specifically weight loss or any other reason?
At the point when I started to commit to eating in a vegan manner, that was strictly for weight loss, but I've gone through more of a lifelong journey starting when I was in my teen years, and my dad had very serious cardiac problems. And we did a lot of eliminating, red meat left, certain other things left. It was all an attempt to get healthier. And there really wasn't a lot of information available at that point as to, what was then considered healthy is certainly not considered healthy today. So for me, it's always been about weight loss in how I eat and what I do. So that's never really changed. And now I continue eating this way, and I've lost all the weight that I wanted to lose. So I've had tremendous.
Carole, when did you start your diet? Sorry, when did you start your vegan diet?
I started late 2012 and struggled for quite a while, and found that, I was eating a lot of vegan junk food. A lot of things that are considered vegan are anything but healthy. So I was still doing that, and it was March 31st or the end of February of 2017 that I made a commitment to be 100% in the particular approach that I take. And that made an incredible difference in my life. And I probably eat at least 70% raw.
Okay.
So
thank you, Carole. We are going to get into the specifics of the diet later, and you can expand and help everyone understand what exactly you did and how you went through this transformation. So Neetu, can you please explain us your reasons? I know you have been a vegan for 23 years, but what is something different that you did which resulted in weight loss?
So when I went vegan back in the day, I went vegan for the animals. It was very sudden, overnight, sort of leaving everything that was non-vegan and just turning vegan. I mean, I didn't really plan it, but this time around, I planned it because I was very motivated by one particular person on Facebook. So his updates would come every day, like 45 days on raw vegan, and like whatever, like every other day he would like update. And I kept wondering, how can people do raw? I mean, I'm already giving up on so much. I mean, not really. I never think of it as giving up because it's always, you're doing it for a cause. So, but you kind of restrict yourself from so much more. And then I thought, let me challenge myself and see how this goes. And just right after Thanksgiving, I went and bought a bunch of fruits and vegetables and started my diet. And it was just a challenge myself, but it actually resulted in 10 pounds of weight loss in the 21 days, just 3 weeks, and I lost 10 pounds. And in a very healthy way. Like, I was very energetic. I did not have any crashes. Like, on most diets, people have like major crashes or lethargy. I was really upbeat and mentally feeling good and all of that, and not missing cooked food at all. And that resulted in 10 pounds of weight loss. I mean, I felt really great. Like, that is the fastest weight loss I might have ever experienced in life. Just 3 weeks. And so it inspired me to go raw again right after New Year's. So I'm right now on a 42-day raw vegan diet, which is just to challenge myself to see if I can do double of 21 days. So right now I'm on the 42-day diet. It's going great.
That's amazing, Neetu. As we go on, we'll love to hear from you how you followed your diet and things that you did, your little secrets, if you can share with others, would really be helpful for many more people to adopt what you have done.
Sure.
Okay. So the next question to our panelist is, were there any sources of information that you guys particularly used Was there something that was very useful to you? Did you attend any seminars? Like Vishal said, the World Vegan Vision seminar helped him understand the, the importance of veganism. So, something like that. Were there any groups that helped you understand? And so, if you can share with us specific information, Vishal, if you can start, that would be great.
Sure. Well, I guess my investment of time in this effort has probably not been the highest, because just being a busy professional with 2 little kids and I'm being a husband, I get dribs and drabs of information wherever I can get it. So I basically Googled recipes and things like that here and there, and you read little dribs and drabs of information, articles and things like that. But I don't. I have to say I don't spend probably. I don't spend a great deal of time on it. It's just wherever I can substitute things that I was normally eating before, and with something that's like Neetu was saying, like fresh fruits and vegetables, for example, as opposed to eating something processed. That's basically all I did, really.
Okay, thank you, Vishal. And David, how about you? Did you find any particular sources that were very useful? Can you, that if that would help somebody else who's planning to go on this diet? So if you can tell us if there's any particular source or lead to sources.
Yeah, for me, it was Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn's whole food, plant-based, no oil diet. Just because I think with oil, most oils are, I guess you can say they are considered healthy, but when it comes to weight loss and weight gain, you kind of want to like at least try to consume those in moderation. So initially, I kind of wanted to like go in, I guess you can say go in 110%, and pretty much what that diet pretty much entails is eating all whole foods, very little processed. So your protein and carbs will come from heavy legumes, complex carbohydrates mixed in with all sorts of different vegetables. Some of them could be cooked, some of them could be eaten raw. Also take into account with like the salt, like maybe having like some salt in your diet. You don't want to have too little or too much, and that to me has always been a challenge, even when I was eating an omnivore diet. And then also his son, Rip Esselstyn, is an endurance athlete. He has a cookbook out there called the Engine 2 Cookbook, which I do have. There's so much information in there that's a little hard to like sit down and cipher through everything and just say, all right, let's cook through this. But you do get some good ideas from that book, I would say. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's another book too that I did read, Proteinaholic by Dr. Garth Davis.
Yes.
And his recipes in that book, they do include a little bit of oil. So for me, oil and salt is always tricky when it comes to weight loss, because you don't have to necessarily eliminate them, but and especially with salt, like I said before, you don't want to completely eliminate it either.
And Carole, how about you? Are there any sources that you can allude everyone to, something that was particularly very helpful to you?
Many sources. I saw a PBS special the end of December in 2012 with Joel Furman, the Nutritarian approach. And it's really science-based, and it made a lot of sense to me, given how much I had struggled. And that's what I started with. And over the years, I have brought in and continue to follow Michael Greger with nutritionfacts.org, Neil Barnard, PCRM, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Caldwell, Campbell. There's an enormous Dr. Garth Davis. The field really is expanding in terms of the information that's available and what is out there. And I choose not to eat salt, oil, or sugar, caffeine, alcohol, and flour. And I only eat whole plant foods, and any processing I do myself. So there are lots of sources, and they're really helpful.
Okay, thank you, Carole. And Neetu, what were your sources, or what was your source of your raw vegan diet?
Sorry about that. So when I made up my mind to go raw vegan, I at that time had literally no information. But 2 days before that, I read a lot about it. I wanted to know what is raw vegan and what are the benefits in particular. And then literally one whole day, I just put YouTube on and I kept listening to a lot of different videos about benefits and how it affects you. Like, I was more interested in the mental, um like it was like a detox for me. It was something like a challenge, like I said. So the mental benefits and all of that, so I kept listening to videos and reading about it. And I can tell you two great resources. One is Raw Intuition. There's a YouTube channel. He talks a lot about his before and after, how he was and what he is. He and his girlfriend, they turn raw vegan, and what they eat throughout the day. That was very inspirational. Like, they would actually show you what they bought for the whole week, and different recipes and all of that. And another great resource for recipes is Fully Raw Christina's channel. She comes up with the most amazing recipes. They're so easy to make, and raw and delicious. Like, I actually thought there wasn't much to do. There wasn't much to eat on a raw vegan diet except for smoothies and salads. But she kind of opened my eyes to so much more that you can eat. I made this pumpkin spice, like this was like around fall time. So pumpkin spice latte, no milk, raw pumpkin and, ginger and all of that stuff. And it tasted so amazing, so heavenly. I've made like pad thai noodles with like zucchini noodles. So, like she just like opened my eyes to so much more. So yes, so I think read, if you're planning to go on a raw vegan diet, one, like read a lot, and then these two channels are very informative. You can definitely get a lot of information from there.
Thank you, Neetu. And we will try to share all these resources on our, once we put the recording of the program, we will try and get resources from you guys and share if that will be, and I'm sure that will help so many more people who are planning to get on the diet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so our next question, excuse me, is, did you guys, I know David said that he did salt, oil and sugar reduction. Carole did salt, oil, sugar free. So can you guys elaborate on it? Did you customize this vegan diet? Did you follow a specific program, like, a 31-day challenge, or the Veganuary 31-day challenge, 22-day challenge, or anything very specific, cutting down any specific ingredients or adding anything specific to your diet? We start with Vishal, if you have anything that you can share.
Actually, I would say the breaking down what I did in the simplest terms. Previously, again, as an omnivore, there would be, in my meal, there would be some piece of protein, like some meat on my plate, and that basically got substituted for more vegetables or more fruit, or some whether some kind of grain, like whether it's rice or pasta or what have you. That's basically it. I basically literally I just subtracted the meat, and what replaced it was fruit or vegetables or some kind of grain. I actually didn't make it that I didn't do anything very scientific or with a great not too much I didn't try to complicate things, because simply I don't know if I have the I don't feel like I have the time to do a lot of that. So I literally just substituted out the meat for more raw vegetables and fruits, and I feel like that just changed really a lot for me in terms of energy level, and I think that really helped with the weight loss as well.
And how about you, David? Was there, I know you mentioned the reduced sodium, oil, and sugar. Is there anything specific you can point to?
No, not really. I mean, like Vishal stated, it was a very, very simple diet. I was eating a lot, eating probably between 4 to 5 times a day.
Right.
And just eating whole foods, eating foods that are not processed. Even
whole
one particular food,
right? Whole foods, maybe.
Right. Yeah. So I would literally prep like maybe like different types of bean soups on the weekends, and then every morning I would probably just throw them onto my pan and throw on, say like brown rice or quinoa. And then on top of that, I would have like spinach, kale, broccoli, all sorts of different vegetables. So it would kind of look like, it wouldn't look very appetizing to be honest with you, but it would smell really good. Like I would take it to work, heat it up, and people would smell like, oh wow, it smells really good, because the beans themselves had so much flavor. So just having like that bean soup that I can kind of like, use the soup to fill in all the vegetables would give it so much flavor. And people would have no idea that the dish would have no meat, no dairy, no eggs, none of that. So it was really interesting to see how you can play around with the flavors of that diet. But no, it wasn't any specific program per se, aside from the fact that it was whole food, plant-based, no oil, limited salt. The oil, if I would consume plant-based foods with oil, it would probably be more on the weekends when we would go out to test, try out more vegetarian, vegan restaurants out there, or just even, any restaurant you go to, you're always going to have more, they're always going to cook with more oils and more salt anyways. Yeah. So I would kind of just say, okay, well, weekdays I'll be very strict, and weekends, where there's more options to go, more, I guess you say more time to go out, I would say, okay, I'm not going to worry about the oils and salts there because I'm very clean during the week in that sense.
Right. How about you, Carole? What would you say about your specific, like, did you eliminate anything? Did you add anything to your diet? If you can elaborate.
Well, as I said, I follow Joel Fuhrman's nutritarian approach. And one of his acronyms is you eat G-bombs every day, which is greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. And expanding out those categories, there are lots of things that you can eat. At one point when I got stuck with my weight loss, and there is a school that is very much starch-based. And I tried that for a while and very quickly gained weight. So I realized that for me, I have to limit some of those starches. So I'm much more beans-based, greens-based. I'm constantly looking to add new vegetables and fruits. I will try pretty much anything that's out there. And I, as I said, I don't eat sugar, oil, or salt, caffeine, alcohol, or flour. I'm also a food addict. So there are a lot of things that were in my repertoire when I was binging that, even though I can make them in a healthy manner, I choose not to because I don't know how to eat them in reasonable portions. So I deal with that other piece as well. And I'm very happy with what I eat.
Right. Okay. And Neetu, how about you? I know yours is a very specific raw vegan diet. So can you please share some things about your diet, specific things that you make, or specific ingredients that you're trying to avoid, or something that you're trying to eat more of?
So contrary to what people believe, raw has so much that you can eat. So I chose to eat all fresh fruits and vegetables. This was something that I wanted to eliminate, like specifically was processed foods. And you'd be surprised how much processed food you can eat even on a raw vegan diet. For example, you can eat, you can get dressings from outside. I've made my own dressings, and I still make my own dressings on this diet. But you can definitely, like, people get dressings from outside that's processed. I was not having any store-bought plant-based milks. Because again, they're processed. So if I wanted to make something creamy, I would just soak cashews at home and then mix them with water and add them to a smoothie or something if I wanted to do that. So that's, again, eliminating processed part of, a raw vegan diet. Other things, I tried to not have sugar and salt, like white salt. So I substituted all the salt that was going in my food with black or Himalayan salt. For sugar, I tried monk fruit sugar. It's easily available. It has less calories of white sugar. Again, white sugar is processed, so that takes that whole process part. It brings the whole process part in. So yeah, so white sugar, regular salt, and then any store-bought dressings and milks. That is pretty much what I did not consume.
Okay. How about coconut sugar or date sugar, Neetu?
I think that's excellent, but I did not try it. Yes, I would love to try it. I think it's, again, not processed. Talking about date sugar, I actually, instead of sugar, where I wanted to add some sugar to my food, I would just add a few dates to it, and it would just make it sweet and it's nutritious. So, I kept trying different things, but I was very good with that. I usually like kind of give in sometimes, but this time around I was really good with not having any processed foods whatsoever.
Right. And then just hearing the word raw vegan, it makes you feel that you're going to be so restricted. But now that your experience is, rather than being restricted, it opens your eyes towards so many different things that we don't, don't usually think of, right? So
Yes.
That's amazing to hear that 21 days you went, and now 42 days you're on the next round. Okay.
Yeah, excited.
That brings us to our next question. So how was during this process, like during this journey, how was your experience getting support, going on a vegan diet? Like, did anyone join you? Did you have any friends, your partner, your significant other? Or did you join a group that, or did you join a challenge? Like January being the most popular month of going vegan, also known as Veganuary in UK, about 31 days, it's like a 31-day challenge where millions of people around the world, they go vegan this month. So did you try anything like that before going full on? And if you did, how was your experience? And if you didn't do that, did you do it by yourself? Did you have a friend, partner? So Vishal, if you can.
So I actually did I saw the 8-week vegan challenge on the World Vegan Vision website way back when I looked at doing this. And so my wife and I did it together. And after 8 weeks, I actually thought I would I'm just going to try it for 8 weeks and then I'm going to go back to what I did before. I never looked back, actually. I just, after the 8 weeks was over, I was like, I'm not missing anything. I don't miss anything. And I just kept on going with it. So. I did. So it was just my wife and I that did it. That's it. No, I didn't really.
Great.
Yeah.
So you had a real partner in crime.
I did. Yeah.
And David, how about you? Did you use any? What was your support?
Yeah, no particular challenge, but my wife had started doing it with me, and for her, she always had concerns with her cholesterol too. She's never had weight problems, which is weird. Some people would think that cholesterol issues would be associated with weight gain or weight loss, but that's never been the case for her. She's always been at a great weight, great BMI, but her cholesterol was always through the roof. So when we spoke about this, like, she was completely on board. She was never very big on red meat or any poultry. Seafood was kind of like her one and only thing that she really, really loved. But for her, it was also a very easy transition too. She just wanted something to considering all the, family history of medical issues that there's been in her family, she wanted something, something a little bit of a healthier dietary pattern, if you will. And she also had a cousin too. I'm sorry.
Sorry, David. I was going to add that also Melanie is also David's significant other. She's also an avid marathon runner. So both David and Melanie, they're very fit people. So it was not just, being fit, right? It was not just about that. It's like for them, it was more. Taking on a vegan diet was much more because they were already fit before that, right? David, you are a swim coach, or you were a swim coach, right? And you have been in such a great shape.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't say great shape, but like I said, like, my weight's always fluctuated, and that was always very frustrating. So I wanted to find something that would hopefully keep me consistent and healthy. And for her, it was always a cholesterol issue too. And we did have one more person as a support system. She had a cousin that is also vegetarian and vegan. I guess you can say she's probably not fully vegan because she'll occasionally cheat with like maybe eggs and cheese, but it's very minimal at this point. But we do leverage each other though for like resources and even like restaurants in New York or even here in New Jersey, which is it's a lot less in New York, but at least, we're not that far from New York. So, and we're lucky to have so many like plant-based and vegan options in New York City.
Right. And at this time, like since the last at least 5 years, plant-based options have opened so many different, like, it has opened up so much that I feel like now it is much easier to transition into a plant-based or a vegan diet, considering everything available outside, right?
Yeah,
And plant-based industry has grown so much. That's actually, in fact, the only industry that's growing, in the food business. So now is a very good time, and now is the perfect time, I would say, if you're thinking. And Carole, how about you?
Well, initially I was pretty much out there on my own. I didn't realize all of the resources that were available. And over the years, there's a local community group that I belong to where I live. Of course, things have changed with the pandemic and we're not able to get together, but we're still doing Zoom things. I'm very connected to the nutritarian community, have done retreats and seminars and events. The National Health Association that provides a lot of support, and then various groups on Facebook and other social media where I can find like-minded people. It's just easier for me to be around other people who are eating the way I am, because there are those who say, because I eat the way I do and no sugar, oil, salt, caffeine, alcohol, flour, I do intermittent fasting, that it's tough for a lot of other people to kind of deal with me. So there's tremendous amount of support. My primary care physician always supported what I was doing. And I now have a plant-based physician who also obviously supports what I'm doing.
Wow, that's great to hear. And I know, Carole, I even saw the picture that you sent us, that you had, over the years, you had tremendous success with your diet. And, if you get a chance, if you don't mind, I can share the pictures with others.
Sure.
To see how you have transformed yourself, mainly just with vegan diet. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and going on to our next question. So what was the most difficult aspect of vegan diet? I mean, were there any things that you craved so much, you missed so much? The smell of pizza, the smell of your favorite, food growing up, anything that you miss so much, or anything that was like, you think that's very difficult on a vegan diet? So Vishal, let's start with you.
Sure. So I think if you rewind back to March when the pandemic first hit, it was, there were, you might remember, it's not so much now, but there were a lot of shortages, right, of things,
Yes.
of groceries, for example. And so it wasn't uncommon for us to order groceries, and maybe 30% of our groceries we wouldn't get it because there was some shortage of it. And so that meant a lot of the fruits and vegetables that I wanted to replace my previous meat consumption, that became a little challenging. That was I would say that was the biggest challenge. And now it's not so much anymore, of course. But that was early on, that was a bit of a headache, actually. And so I found myself eating a lot more carbs, just to sort of get by, if you will. And that was probably the most difficult aspect of this, just the time frame that I chose to undertake this new life.
Ah, true. But also, like, I felt this period also made it easier to stick to certain diets because I was not eating out much. There was, but again, the other issue was comfort food. I found like, being home, being with family, it was like constant craving for comfort food, right? So,
Yeah.
but I felt like all in all, it was a perfect time to start something and stick to it. And how about you, David? What did you find the most difficult, or what are you finding the most difficult aspect of a vegan diet?
I mean, I don't really feel like I had, when I started, I don't think there was too much of, I didn't have too many issues, to be honest with you, because I came back from my honeymoon and I was frustrated. I felt like a balloon. I was eating, we went to Greece, which, they're big on the Mediterranean diet too, but they're also very big on a lot of meat over there. And I had started doing my research before the honeymoon, but I was like, I'm not going to start it over there, obviously. So, I just kind of enjoyed myself over there. And then when I came back, I was just like, I felt like crap. I'm like, I'm working out 5-6 days a week. Like I said, I was training for the marathon. I was going to CrossFit, and I just had a lot of like, I had a lot of motivation built in already. But yeah, occasionally, like, there were temptations to, like, on the way to work, I would smell like this, actually, well, not on the way to work, but like leaving work to take the light rail station in Jersey City. I would walk by a steakhouse restaurant, and I would just smell like the steak and onions. And I would just, wow, I was like, wow, I wish I could have that right now. But that was like my only temptation with stuff like pizza and like ice cream. Like, you can find them like in the vegan varieties nowadays, which is, makes it so much easier.
Right.
During the pandemic, my wife learned how to make vegan pizza, which comes out amazing. She uses the Miyoko's brand mozzarella, and it's just, it's amazing. There's so many like, also plant-based cheeses out there that you can buy that are not too bad, in terms of ingredients. So, I mean, I never really missed those type of foods. And I think honestly, like some of the plant-based ice creams are probably even, I think, better than some of the dairy ones, to be honest.
Yes, they are so delicious. So delicious, the cashew-based ice cream. And it has grown, the plant-based industry has grown so much. I mean, honestly, like the foods that are available, the variety, the amount of burgers that are available in frozen aisles, or like, and also the resources online and everywhere. If you want to go on a particular plant-based or vegan diet, there's plenty available out there, and there's so much support, right? To start this. So yeah. And how about you, Carole? What did you find the most difficult?
I really haven't found it to be difficult. My taste buds have so dramatically changed that foods that used to appeal to me, the smell of them actually makes me sick to my stomach now. I can't even imagine eating them. Probably the most difficult thing is when I was more actively sharing my journey with a broader range of people. The inevitable question about where do you get your protein? And I just no longer, I don't engage in those conversations anymore. It's not beneficial. If people are interested in changing, I let them come to me rather than going to them.
Oh, okay. Right. I know the perpetual questions, right? Vegan get, what's your protein?
Yep.
I know, but I feel now people do understand more that, plants have protein, and, we are not deprived of any protein being on a vegan diet. How about you, Neetu? What are you finding the most difficult aspect of a raw vegan diet? If there is any, if you're finding any.
Believe it or not, it is not eating enough. So when I started the diet, first 3 days, I was very prepared. I was very excited. So I kept eating a lot. I kept eating like every few hours, munching on carrots and making smoothies and keeping them in the fridge, all the colorful smoothies and some salads, and trying out new things and recipes. And I did eat a lot. And every day I was losing 2 pounds. The first 3 days I lost 2 pounds every single day. And then I got a little busy, and maybe, the initial excitement kind of dies down, and you're, oh, this has worked. So I started to eat less and less. And also your stomach kind of shrinks, I guess. So you eat less of, you don't feel as hungry as you do previously. So I kept eating less and less and less. And the weight loss after the first week almost stopped. I lost the 10 pounds in the first week itself. And then it just stopped. I maintained it. But I was like, towards the end, I was not hungry at all. I had to remind myself, I got to eat now. So I would just have like 3 smoothies in the day and I was done. So the most difficult aspect of the raw vegan diet, I think, is remembering to eat. Because you get so full by just one smoothie, because, like I said, your appetite reduces, your stomach shrinks. So you don't eat as much. But I think you have to keep eating. And you have to keep reminding yourself, maybe even put alarms. I'm going to do it this time. I haven't yet started, but for this time around, I'm going to put alarms to say, now is the time to get a snack. And now is the time to eat a big meal, and really force myself to eat. I think eating will help you lose more weight.
Also, because you're predominantly eating raw, you're eating a lot of fiber, right? The smoothies and everything. And that fills you up. Fiber fills you up much more.
Absolutely.
So that also helps. Yeah.
And also detox, like there's a lot of detox happening, right? As you're eating raw, there's a lot of fiber going inside of you. So you have to remember to really keep eating. So
Right.
yeah, because otherwise you can go, I'm telling you, like last 3 or 4 days, I didn't even feel hungry. I really could have forgotten to eat the whole day and I would be fine, Yeah. And drink a lot of water. Again, like I'm not very good with drinking water, so I would forget to have water. So I started infusing a 10-cup jug of water with oranges or lemons, or basil and stuff. And that water kind of was a reminder every time I opened the refrigerator that I have to drink some water. So that I need to also incorporate this time. Drink a lot of water and eat a lot of food.
Okay, so the next one is if you can describe, like, what does a day look like on a vegan diet? Like, what anything specific you eat for each meal? Anything you recommend? Like, any prep that you do beforehand? Anything that you think that would be useful to others? So, Vishal, what do you? Anything that you can describe about your particular vegan diet? Anything that you do?
Oh, wow. Just going back to what I said earlier, as opposed to eating cereal and dairy milk, it would have been, now I have cereal with almond milk and with berries in it. That's it. It's very simple. Lunchtime, again, pre-vegan diet, it would have been probably a turkey and cheese sandwich. Now I'm very comfortable eating, I make a hummus sandwich with vegetables in between the bread. And with an apple or a banana with it or something like that. And then at dinner time, again, what used to be a little bit of vegetable, a little bit of starch, a little bit of meat, now it's a lot of vegetables and with that starch. So that's it. Very, very simple.
Also, like, we are so much used to, at least I'm used to, like, ethnic foods, right? Like, to me, Indian food is my go-to food usually. So it's like, with even those meals, mostly like vegetarian Indian food is mostly vegan, but also, like, certain things that I've never thought of that could be not vegan, certain dairy products, like we use a lot of ghee. In some foods, we add a lot of yogurt. So now, like, it's just changing all those habits all over. And that really helped. Like, that's something that always I have to keep in mind, that started keeping in mind that, okay, replace ghee with coconut oil, or just, very little of olive oil maybe. So some things like that really helped with the transformation, with, also changing. One of the main thing sometimes what all of us have is eating out, right? Issues with eating out. Like, before pre-vegan, it was so easy to order. Now being vegan, it's like you have to change the way and change the places sometimes where you eat. But anyways, David, what is there any particular order that you follow, any particular meals that you eat somehow during the day, if you can elaborate?
Yeah, I try to keep it very simple. Breakfast is usually just maybe oatmeal with water and fruits. Occasionally I'll maybe sprinkle in some plant-based milks. For lunch and dinner, I try to get in at least 3 to 4 greens, mixed in also with, like I mentioned before, some kind of bean or legume and some kind of whole grain as well. So I keep it very simple, very boring during the week, because it's just, you have to take into account, obviously, like most of us that are working, we don't have all the time to get creative. And I think that's what throws off a lot of people. They try to get very creative and, they end up falling off.
It becomes very cumbersome, right? You try to be creative with every meal, right?
Yeah. So, and actually tie in what Carole said before about Dr. Joel Furman, like, just kind of getting in the foods from that category, from the G bombs, and just keeping it very simple, just focusing more on the nutrients that you want to nourish your body with during the week, and then in the weekend, if you have a little bit more time, you can definitely get a little more creative and look up something from a plant-based cookbook or whatever. Or if you're going out, if you're going to a non-vegan restaurant, you can at least stick to like soup and salad and, something like that. I mean, and obviously, like some of those bean soups will fill you up too. So whereas other people might be like, oh, wow, like, are you sure you're full and whatnot? But like, when you're eating the right stuff every single day, I think, your hunger will be controlled, and, all of a sudden now, having that soup and salad doesn't seem like it's very minimum at all.
How about you, Carole? If you can
I keep my foods very, very simple. I do a lot of batch cooking. I do things that are food prep that make putting my meals together simple. Because I do intermittent fasting, I only eat 2 meals a day. My first meal this morning was, I always do water sauteed onions, peppers, mushrooms, garlic. Today it was Brussels sprouts and green beans. I follow that with a kale and berry-based smoothie that I make using my own hemp milk that I make. I don't buy any of the processed nut milks. And it's got cinnamon, turmeric, vanilla bean powder, beet boost, flax seeds, chia seeds. It's very power packed and is very satisfying. And that's my first meal. My second meal, I start off with my extra fruits. Today, it'll be a Salzest mandarin, an apple. Dr. Furman has a little product that I use, one of his popums that gives me a little bit of a sweet taste. And then I eat, and my veggies for breakfast usually weigh between 3 and 4 pounds. I follow the concepts of nutrient density looking versus caloric density. And my salad that I eat, because salad is the main dish with Dr. Furman, I serve in a 7-quart bowl, and it's pretty full. And I use arugula, bok choy, what I call my crunchy mix, which is a mix of red cabbage, white cabbage, sugar snap peas, turnips, radishes, carrots, celery, broccoli slaw, and I use all organic. And then I add things like Persian cucumbers, grape tomatoes, a little bit of a red sauerkraut for the fermentation. I make my own pickled onions, scallions. I'm trying to think, beets. I love beets and eat those a lot. I add in homemade soy yogurt, homemade pico de gallo, the salad dressing that I make myself. I use nigella seeds in it. I'm trying to think what else. I use a walnut because that helps with the absorption of greens, some pumpkin seeds, and whatever legume dish I'm having generally gets thrown right in my salad, and it all gets mixed together. And that salad usually weighs probably 5 pounds. People always look at it and say, wow, how are you going to eat all of that? I'm a food addict and I like volume eating. And by the time I finish my second meal, which I try to finish by 5 o'clock, somewhere between 3 and 5 is when I eat. And that salad takes 60 to 90 minutes to eat. So I'm lucky that I'm retired because it would be hard to do with a job. And at the point when I finish that second meal, I'm done eating for the day. I don't do any snacking or any grazing. And I eat the same things over and over again.
That's incredible, Carole. That's a lot of prep and that's a lot of dedication to your, to your diet. And just like all of our participants say, that keeping it simple, right? It's the best way to get into this because, otherwise it's in your daily life with, when you're struggling with so many different things, work, children, et cetera, it just gets cumbersome thinking of making fancy meals for each, time of the day. So keeping it simple and including as much nutrition or nutrients in your diet is extremely essential. Getting nutrition from all the plant-based sources, it's the key here. So Neetu, what is your particular raw vegan? Like, how do you follow it throughout the day?
So my first meal is usually a smoothie. So in every smoothie, I do have a bunch of spinach. Every smoothie has to have spinach. I try to, I don't, like I said, I'm not doing any plant-based milks, no milks whatsoever, right? So I just add a banana and water. So that makes it creamy. and then I add like berries or whatever. So I just make a big cup of smoothie. That's my breakfast. Uh, Throughout the day, like, and then lunch is a big salad. I throw in whatever is available. Of course, a lot of greens in there. Night, like, I'm trying to do a big salad again in the night, and I'd love to learn from Carole how to eat a lot, because in the beginning of my diet I was really eating a lot, and then I kind of reduced the volume less and less as every day was passing. But I tried to eat like a decent sized salad in the night, and in between, like, I would do a raw kombucha, or maybe baby carrots. I just keep it handy. I cut like a pineapple and keep it in the fridge, so I can, like, whenever I'm hungry, I feel like snacking, I go for the pineapple. Bananas, or like if I'm driving, I keep a couple of bananas, next to me, so I can have that banana. So those are my little like snacks in between. But the three big meals are like smoothie in the morning. Try to get either a smoothie or a salad in the afternoon, and then night again a salad.
Thank you so much, Neetu. And just like each of our participants, they say that the best way is to have a plan. Have a plan what you're going to eat, have things ready, so when the hunger attacks, or when the times that you're hungry, you have something ready for you. And you can go fancy on the weekends, try to pull up a recipe book and try to put something nice together. But on the weekdays, be keeping it simple and having a plan definitely helps. That brings us to our next question. So Vishal, how long did it take you to achieve, like, if you had achieved what weight loss, how long did it take you, and was it kind of permanent, or were there times that you achieved a loss, you had weight loss and then you gained some? What was your experience?
Well, so achieve the weight loss, I would say achieve the weight loss makes it sound like I was trying for weight loss. And I while I was on the heavier side, I would say, admittedly, again, my goal, my initial reason for becoming vegan was more on the environmental awareness side of things. But the weight loss was a pleasant surprise for sure. And it's still, I'm still maintaining, definitely. Early going, I feel like I shed 20 pounds in a really short period of time. Probably during that 8 weeks, I would say it was probably about 20, the initial 8 weeks, it was about 20 pounds or so. And then literally over the last, however much time has passed since then, I've probably lost maybe another 5 to 10 pounds. And it's been pretty, I've definitely plateaued, and I'm maintaining right now, which is great, which is fantastic. It's a really pleasant outcome.
That's great. Yeah. So you have maintained whatever, you had initially, whatever results you had.
Absolutely. And I would add to that, again, just being in this pandemic environment, there's no going to a gym, right? That's just out. And I just can't do that now. And so my exercise is limited to just whatever I can do in my neighborhood, just walking or a jog or something like that. So it's been pretty minimal amount of, unfortunately, not as much exercise as I would want.
Right. Okay. How about you, David?
Yeah, so I think initially for me, it took about 8 months to go from 190 to 165. And that was also doing CrossFit and running training for the marathon at the time, like I said. But I mean, it just also depends too. It depends on how much fat you're eating too. Like right now, I don't want to say right now, but maybe like the second part of 2020, I did experience some weight gain. So I would say in terms of weight, it's never really permanent. If you're not really tracking your weight, you're not tracking what you're eating. And I was eating a lot of healthy fats, but I was eating, I think, too much of it. So I was eating a lot of avocados, a lot of nut butters, probably going a little bit too lenient also with the avocado oil and extra virgin olive oil too, which all of those are great fats. But again, like if you're watching your weight, you do have to watch your portions with that too. So which is why I try to always like stay on the safe side and have less of those during the week, and kind of just, if I have to splurge a little bit on them on the weekends, I can. But everyone has a different philosophy too. Some people just really, again, you can still lose weight and still have a little bit of that every single day. And I think as far as I'm concerned, I think I'm probably still in the stage where I'm still learning how to actually like moderate those during the week. so that don't happen necessarily always completely. Because I mean, at the same time, I'm cooking for myself, I'm cooking for my wife too, and in the future when I have kids too, I also want to keep in account that, you know, eating as simple as I have, it's been great for weight loss too. But I mean, if I can incorporate a little bit more of the healthy fats, I think, you know, I think long term I'll have a little bit more success, even if it takes me a little bit while longer to get to that point.
How about you, Carole?
I've spent my entire adult life trying to lose weight and multiple times lost well over 100 pounds only to gain it all back plus. At my highest point in 2008, I weighed 350 pounds. And I was on this journey before I found, you know, what is my vegan community now. And I had lost about 90 pounds and got stuck. Tried a couple of other things, found it really didn't work for me. When I made the commitment almost 4 years ago now to be 100% nutritarian, I very quickly lost another 130 pounds, and I've lost a total of 220 pounds. And because I'm a food addict, because I understand relapse, I've also watched several people who have had enormous weight loss have very significant relapse and gain back most, if not all, of what they lost. So I have a very healthy watching out to make sure that I keep my food where it needs to be, because I don't want to go down that path. It's now been several years that I've maintained at this particular weight, and learning how to maintain was really quite challenging because I had no concept of how to do it because I had never done it before. So it's permanent at least for today. And I intend to keep it that way. This is my lifestyle now. It's no longer a diet. It's simply how I live my life.
Oh, that's really incredible, Carole, your journey. And again, I'm going to try and share, if I can, a picture of yours that you had sent us. Let's see if I can share my screen.
I had no before pictures this time because I had always taken them and I failed, and I didn't want pictures of failure. So this time when I'm successful, there was no picture. So that was the best I could do.
Right. Wow, that's amazing, Carole. And how you have kept up with that. Just, you know, with the whole change in lifestyle, and also that also shows you the power of community, right? You have been with this, you started your journey on your own, and then you joined the community, which really helped you, right? To
absolutely
to stay on and you know, keep going continuously, keep being on this path. Okay, so that brings us to the next question. So, you know, you guys all went through, you got into the vegan diet for different reasons. And so getting into this diet, how did it help you? Like, what did it have overall effect on your lifestyle? How, you know, whether the physical transformation and mental transformation, did you feel more focused? Did you have more mental clarity? Physically, like, did you feel more energetic? Like, let's start from Neetu. Neetu, what did you, how did your raw vegan diet help you get through that?
I definitely felt more energized on the raw vegan diet. I was between Thanksgiving and Christmas is a busy season for me in terms of my home business. And I was I needed that extra boost of energy to get through my day. I was working pretty much from 7:30 in the morning to maybe 12 in the night. And I needed that boost of energy. In between, I would also go for walks. So all of that on the raw vegan diet, I think I've been, like I told you, I've been vegan for a long time and always been very high energy. But I think that period of time was more like boost of energy, and that's only because raw is what humans are supposed to be eating anyways. If we didn't discover fire, we'd still all be eating raw vegan, right? Meat, I don't think we can eat uncooked, and everything else without fire would not be able to eat. So it's the most natural food for humans. So the body kind of feels like great, like it just absorbs it and it feels happy, I guess, from inside. When you give it the food that it is supposed to eat. So that was bringing on, my skin was looking softer. I just felt so great. Skin was glowing and looking softer, feeling softer, and then energy, more focus, and then of course weight loss. What else could you want? Which is why I'm doing the 42 now.
So how about you, Vishal? Like, did you see any changes in physical and mental state if you on this new journey of yours?
Yeah, I would say overall, just after a meal, I don't feel, let's say, weighed down or sluggish as the way I feel much more energy after eating a meal, for example. And overall, I just feel lighter. I feel like my energy level is better. Yeah, that's mental state. Again, I think it's also me just living in this, again, you go back to this pandemic environment that we're in, a little bit isolated. I think that this lifestyle kind of helps in terms of the mental aspect. I think it does help.
How about you, David?
Yeah, I mean, just to echo what everyone's saying. Energy, absolutely. I mean, I used to have like small cup of espresso at home before going to work, and then at work I would go on a coffee run with coworkers, and I just feel like I needed that extra caffeine. But now, like with eating a combination of whole foods and a combination of like some raw foods, I definitely feel like I have so much more energy. Like I can probably limit myself to 1 cup of coffee a day, and I'll be perfectly fine. Whereas before I was always looking for that extra boost of energy, and yeah, that's just something I haven't really experienced. And in terms of like from a athletic performance, I saw a lot of my runs. I was PRing a lot. I think what was it, maybe so it was 2019, I want to say, where I was signing up for all these New York Road races leading up until the marathon, and it was like one race after one another. It was just PR, which PR means a personal record if you don't know what that means, but yeah, and it was just it's very anecdotal what I'm saying, but when you keep track of it, it just really opens your eyes as to what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
How about you, Carole?
I was always amazed, given how morbidly obese I was, that not only was I not diabetic, I was never even pre-diabetic. And I had mild hypertension. It was never off the charts. So I did take medication. My cholesterol was always just a shade over normal, and my doctor just didn't want to do medication for that. I did take medication for depression and anxiety. I've been medication free now for over 3.5 years. I feel wonderful. I do have some physical residuals from before losing all the weight, and there are things that will not go away. You do a lot of damage to your body when you carry that much extra weight and that much visceral fat in your abdominal area. Mentally and emotionally, I used to turn to food to solve problems. That was how I dealt with things. I was a stress eater, and I don't do that anymore. So it's made an enormous difference in how I live my life and the outlook that I have. It's wonderful.
Right. So it's amazing, Carole, how just starting from weight loss or getting just physically healthy, how eating the right food transforms you. It transforms not just your body, like everything within your body and your mind. You get more clarity. You are such a different individual, right? The whole experience of this, it changes everything, things within you and your outlook towards the also others and things around you. And that's amazing, Carole. Like your experience, really, it's truly amazing. So for for our audience, for people who are looking to start this, get on this journey, what would be your advice? Like, Vishal, let's start from you. Like, what would you advise someone who is looking to adopt a vegan diet specifically for weight loss? But I know you said your journey is very different, and each of you have a very unique take on why you chose a vegan diet. So what would your advice be?
So I overall, I would say that weight loss is probably not necessarily the best reason to do this. It's really, I think it comes from an altruistic point of view. Whether you're an animal rights, you want to address animal rights issues, or it might be environmental issues, or you just want to eat healthier. I think what Carole said, I think she said it best in one of the other questions. She said it's a lifestyle. And so I think you want to look at it as a lifestyle, not as a quote unquote diet. And I think with that kind of a mindset, that's where you'll have I believe you'll have the most success, and not looking at it as quote unquote diet.
Right. Thank you, Vishal. And I must agree that, for me, I also started this, thinking for health reason, I started to get into vegan diet. And then it just transformed into a lifestyle. And, I don't even look back now. It's just, this is a new way of life. And this is the way of life for me. Right. And so what do you say, David? What would your words of advice be?
I mean, so for me, honestly, it might be a little bit unpopular and contradictory in a way too, but I would say go 110%. And I'm not a big fan of like this mentality of slowly, easing into the plant-based vegan lifestyle. I just think a lot of people will end up getting stuck. If they say, okay, I'm gonna just keep eggs for now. I'm gonna keep such and such food. I feel like a lot of people will just get comfortable and they'll stay in that, because at the end of the day, what they're doing is they're still increasing like their vegetables, they're still increasing like their healthy foods. And they may not experience the long-term effects of following a strict plant-based diet. But at the same time, you want to strive for perfection, but don't stress if you don't have perfection. So if you happen to be perfect at home like I was, but then on the weekend you would happen to go out with somebody that wasn't vegetarian or vegan, and you ate something that wasn't vegetarian or vegan, don't stress that either. You want to be able to control, the food that's at least in your, in your control at home. And then if you happen to, eat one or two things when you're out and about, but even at that, you'll slowly realize that, all right, you know what? I mean, maybe I'll choose a dish that just has like that one thing that's non-vegan, and it's not so bad, instead of gorging on like mozzarella sticks and buffalo wings and something like that, So you kind of just like reduce like the risk of like having too much unhealthy foods in there. And there was one other thing too. I was going to say also, there's a lot of resources nowadays, not just books, but you also have podcasts too. I'm big on listening to podcasts. For me, it's like the Ritual podcast. It's not all completely, every single episode is not necessarily always vegan. And I also try to listen to, to like counter arguments too. So I'll try to listen to like, podcasts out there that is coming from a different perspective. Like I'm also big with the Joe Rogan podcast, and he'll have like plant-based people and vegan people on there, and he'll also have people on there that, are big proponents of the carnivore diet, for example. And I think that kind of helps a lot too, just to kind of, be able to listen to different perspectives and say, you know what, all right, I kind of get where he's coming from, but it's not for me. I think having that reaffirmation for you, I think that helps a lot in the long run, because at least this way you can say, hey, you know what, I've heard both sides of the aisle, and it's just not for me. But definitely use as many resources as possible, books, podcasts, audiobooks, if there's any out there. Social media too. I mean, social media nowadays is so big with like, all these plant-based doctors that have been mentioned, and even the social media influencers, which you have to be careful sometimes with them too. But I think just being involved and, feeling like you're part of a community definitely helps as well.
Right. Yes, it's so right, David. And I really liked how you said that, you always try to listen to a counter argument and then question yourself whether, and then come to an answer. Yes, this is for me and that's not for me. And, I also like to listen to such people, like, who are completely on the opposite side of the spectrum, and try to hear their view and, question myself and come up with my own answers and reasons for why this is for me. And that's a great way to get in. And, another thing you said, really look into social media, look online. What I would like to add to it is, like, there's so much information out there on Google these days, and, there are Google doctors, but try to look for, whenever you're looking or reading something, try to look at the source where the information comes from, whether it's coming from a scientific journal, whether it's coming from, a well thought of research. A good place to look for answers is also PubMed, or it's a site where all the research studies are posted. And these are all peer-reviewed research. So, so it's something that has more scientifically experiments that are more scientifically done, or studies that have more results based on science. So that would be a very good source to look at. Just merely looking at research, you don't know where it's coming from. Just make sure that you have the sources of whatever article, opinion piece that you read are listed there, and you can always go back and look at those sources. Thank you, David, for sharing, that bit of advice, which, others may find useful, to continuously keep looking for sources, looking for counter arguments, hearing podcasts, looking at scientific researches. And Carole, what would you advise to people?
In hindsight always makes us a lot smarter. For those who start this for weight loss, if you have the ability to take the focus off of the scale, it will help tremendously, because the scale can roll. I used to, at one point, I weighed myself maybe 3 or 4 times a day. I no longer worship the scale. It's simply a set of numbers, and it may go up, it may go down. It depends on all kinds of things going on with your body. If you eat in this way, if you adopt whatever form of vegan lifestyle it is, you will get healthy, you will lose the weight, educate yourself, use the resources that are out there, and just stick with it. I found for me that once I committed to 100% nutritarian, which is specific things, it just made all the difference in the world. So don't be afraid to just jump right in and get going.
Thank you very much, Carole. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Vishal, David, Carole, and Neetu. Last but not the least, can you just give us some advice? You have been a veteran vegan for 23 years. So if you can advise someone who is planning to jump on this, what would you say?
One thing I'd say is it's not difficult whatsoever, especially now. Back in the day, it was hard to find replacements for many of the foods. But today, if you wanted to have cheese, there are all sorts of cheeses that are vegan, and not one brand, many brands of cheeses. So you can go and try out different, brands and see what works for you. Everything that you want to eat, even if you're missing meat, for example, there's so many mock meats available. You're missing dairy, there's so much available in terms of dairy. A lot of the Indian people miss ghee and and yogurt. You can make all of that at home. You can buy all of that outside. I mean, there is no excuse for you not to go vegan at this point. If you want to eat junk food, or if you want to eat healthy, I mean, they're both sides of the spectrum in veganism.
Right.
So if somebody craves pizza, there's vegan pizzas available commercially, and you can build that at home as well. So my biggest advice to anybody who wants to try vegan is go for it. It's easy, it's doable, and it's enjoyable. You're doing so much for yourself, for the environment, and for the animals. So there shouldn't be anything stopping you.
Thank you, Neetu. So this was our last question. And as we can see, all of our panelists, all of our participants, they're coming from they had their own reasons, different reasons to adopt a vegan diet, not just for weight loss. For most of them, weight loss came as a part of it. Vishal, your reason for adopting was more like, altruism, for the environment, for the globe. David, you were for like health, fitness, and then along this path, you discovered there were so many different things that are achieved by this. And Carole, your journey has been just over so many years you have tried, and you have made it such a success story, right? And as you said that, even you are thinking weight loss, there are so many other aspects like overall health, overall, it comes with, when you start this, it's just good for your body, good for your mind. And I keep referring to this as a journey, as someone said that health, fitness, someone said about fitness, but I would put health, fitness, diet. Uh, they are simply not destinations. Weight loss is, I don't think you should look at it as a destination, or you can start looking at it as a destination and it becomes a journey. So you start something, you reach a certain point, and then you realize there is such a big journey along, and jump on it and get going. So that's what our participants, Vishal, David, Carole, and Neetu, had to say about this. They gave their reasons, and look at them, look at where they are standing now. They have transformed from where they started, and they are still continuing on this path. I wanted to thank you all. Thank you, Vishal. Thank you, David. Thank you, Carole and Neetu, for taking this time with us and sharing your experiences. I hope this will inspire many more to go on this path. And we really are very thankful to you to come and share your stories with us. Hope you guys all enjoyed this. And thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.